This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, welcome to the webinar today for the topic of degree legalization. Jasmine and I will explain about the step of the degree legalization of each country. Please note that the degree legalization is for the person who have the degree holder. So the non-degree holder and the camp counselor don't need to do the degree legalization. Okay, so today we will go through the introduction, the step and the process, also the exercising service of the following country: the US, the South Africa, the UK, Ireland, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and Europe. Please note that the legalization is for using during the work permit process. So to avoid the unexpected costs or an issue, we would like you to have it before your departure or soon after arriving in Thailand, like around a month. And the step that complete the legalized degree is to get the stamp from the Royal Thai Embassy from your home country, like the picture.
Great. So the reason why you need to legalize your degree is that schools need it to legally get you your work permit. So if you have a degree, you have to legalize it. It's just because Thailand's a little bit of a very easy to replicate documents kind of place. So they need it to go through your home system to prove that it's your name and your degree. And then you bring it along with you so they can process your work permit. Your legalized degree is the only document that you don't need to enter Thailand. So it's nothing to do with you entering the country. It's to do with your work permit down later in the lines. So like P. Gibbs said, you need it for about a month after you've arrived when they'll start processing your work permit. You don't need it to enter the country. And if you do need it mailed over to Thailand because it's not going to make it in time and you'll be flying without it, please do let us know when you think it may be ready. If you will be here in Hoi Hin, you're more than welcome to send it to our office and we can give you the address. And if you think it might take a little bit longer and you may be at your school by the time it gets sent over, we're able to get your school address as well. So we can help you make sure that it finds its way to you, whatever is cheapest and best. If you happen to send it to our office and then you went off to your school, we can send it to you as well. It's probably only $2 in the post, but then we need to talk about how we get the money to each other and everything like that. So just whatever is easiest for you. So we can talk about that. You can contact your coordinator if your degree won't make it, so we can make sure that it's all simple and easy for you. If your degree is in any other language besides English, unfortunately, even if it does say the bachelor in Latin or another language, just one word in another language, Thailand does require it to be translated to English. So I know it's super annoying if they just wrote the bachelor's degree section in Latin, as many universities do, but it does need to be translated, and all you need to do is go to a solicitor's office and get the "this is a true translation" stamp. So there's plenty of places you can take it to, but if you are having any problems, please let us know. And if there's any other sections of your degree that are in another language besides English, for example, if you're from Europe, please do get the translation because it won't be counted unless it is in English. So the steps to legalize your degree, as you've probably already read in the documents that we've sent you. So you must have your actual official degree certificate from your university. And then you take a scan of the degree certificate and then you send it to a notary or take it to a notary if it's in your local area. And then it's a step process. So depending on what country you're from, usually after the notary, no matter what country you're from, you send it to an authentication office. You may send it to a federal level office, and then it must go to the Thai embassy in your country as the final step as well. So when you do come to Thailand, please don't forget to bring your original degree certificate as well as your legalized degree. If you have it in time, your transcripts, all of your original documents, just like the previous webinar. And please don't do your legalized degree on your original degree certificate. Some places do want to see it as well as the scanned copy, but they should not be legalizing your original certificate. And no matter what you do, don't laminate anything. The Thai authorities won't accept it if it is laminated. So any of your documents, including a real degree, your legalized degree, anything, please don't laminate it. And on the next slides, we'll also introduce some expediting services. So we're very aware that it's a tedious process sending your scanned degree in the mail to multiple places. So there are some expediting services available in each country. These don't necessarily get it done faster, but they take it off your hands, so you don't need to worry about it. They do every step for you. And this does come at a little bit of an extra cost, just for them doing all the work for you, but it's your choice whether you would like to use them or not. If you think that you can send it in the mail multiple times, it will probably take the same amount of time as an expediting service, just takes the stress away from you. So if you're working 12-hour shifts every day, it might be better for you. So you have some choices. So the US is a 4-step process, no matter what state you're from. So you will need to do the notary, and then you send it to the state level to the Secretary of State. Then you send it to the Washington, DC office, the Department of State Authentication. So every degree in the whole country will go to Washington, DC. And then after that, you will send it to a Thai embassy that is in your location to get this red bird stamp at the bottom. So there's 4 Thai embassies in the USA. This will also come up again on your visa later on. So in a moment, we'll show you the slide of what embassy correlates with where you live. And just a little bit of a time frame as well. The Washington, DC office takes the most amount of time, so 2 to 3 weeks. Sometimes it can take more. So I hope that you're already well on track with getting this process finalized. If it does take an unusually amount of time, length at the Washington, DC office, don't stress, it's completely normal. And then it should be a short period of time at the Thai embassy in your jurisdiction to get that final stamp, and then it's done. And this should be the total cost at the bottom too. Then this is the map for USA people of the Thai embassy that correlates with the state that you're from. So on the West Coast, you've got the Los Angeles office in Alaska as well. In the North, you've got Chicago. In the South, you've got Washington, DC. And Northeast, you've got the New York embassy. So this will come up again with your visa. When you do your visa later on, please remember this map. It's the reason why they ask you questions correlating to your address. They want to know which embassy to send things to. So for your legalized degree, this is the map.
Okay. And for the US expediting service, we recommend Monument Visa, which is about $125, which appear on this link.
In South Africa, sorry to say, but it's probably the longest process out of any country, but definitely doable and definitely doable in this time frame. So it's a 3-step process through organization. So first you send it to a place called SACA, and then it goes to DIRCO. It can spend quite a bit of time at DIRCO sometimes. And then the final step is the Thai embassy in Pretoria to legalize your degree with the red bird stamp or just the Thai embassy stamp in general. 3 to 8 weeks at SACA, 4 to 6 weeks at DIRCO. Sometimes it can take a little bit longer once again, so don't stress too much. Every South African has to go through this process, and we've got plenty of South African teachers here in Thailand for the last 10 years. And then the last step is the Thai embassy in Pretoria, 3 to 7 weeks. The cost down the bottom in South African rand.
And for the expediting service of the South African people, we recommend 1 to 3 attested that you can contact them on this email or WhatsApp. Their Facebook page might not be up to date, but maybe you can send some message on that Facebook page as well, but I do recommend the WhatsApp or the email. It's much better. It's roughly cost about $1,560.
For the UK, you send it to a notary. They are quite quick with the UK, but don't let that slow you down. It's best to get on this process as soon as possible. And then you send the degree after it's been notarized to the Foreign Commonwealth Office, and then the Thai Embassy in London once again for the Redbird stamp. About the cost, and it doesn't take too long, so we don't have too much of a time frame on there, but please do get on it anyway.
The expediting service is apostille of The Hague, which is as the link, and the last cost is $141.
Ireland is quite similar, so notarize your degree, authentication, and then you have to send it to the Thai Embassy in London, as it's the closest one. Once again, for the Thai Embassy stamp, about the cost, about the same time frame.
And the same expediting service as apostille of The Hague, like the UK, but you can use this service on the process of the apostille and the embassy attestation. For the notarized degree, you have to do it by yourself, and which the cost is similar to the UK, $141.
Canada, 3-step process, notarization, authentication, and then the Thai Embassy in Canada. You've got two. You've got one on the east and the west. So we'll help you out with which one to send it to. For the Thai bird stamp, about the cost and postage.
And expediting service is capital authentication, which the cost around $175.
Australia, 3-step process, notarization, authentication, and the Thai Embassy in either Sydney or Canberra. For the Thai Embassy stamp, about the cost, postage not included again.
And the expediting service apostille Australia, which they have categorized the step of the price that you might need: the notary service, apostille certificate, and embassy and consulate, the last part.
Just on the expediting service, everyone, we don't say you have to do it. We understand that countries like Australia, New Zealand, South Africa are extremely expensive to use the expediting service. It's just there if you really want it. It might be worth it for people in the US as it's a lower cost, but it's there to help you. We don't say that you have to use it. We just wanted to mention it. For countries like Australia, New Zealand in particular, I would not use the expediting service just because it is so much more expensive, and it is quite simple to legalize things yourself through Australia and New Zealand Post as well. So just to let you know, it's there, but it's your choice whether you'd like to use it. So New Zealand, once again, notarization, authentication, and you send it to the Thai Embassy in Wellington. There's only one. For the Thai bird stamp, about the cost if you do it yourself.
And expediting service from that I can search for, it's BVS Global, which is around $720.
Now, Europe is a different one. So each country, of course, in Europe does require different things. Sometimes they often require you to go in person, particularly in the Netherlands, Portugal. In the past, they have required people to go in person, but it should be the same no matter which European country you're from. If you do have any issues, please contact Gib or myself anytime. But it's the notarization, the authentication, and the embassy. The embassy is the part that may require you to go in person for the Thai bird stamp. And the cost is a general amount, depending on where you're from, somewhere around the same cost as the UK and the US, depending on your country. But we understand Europe is a vastly big place of lots of different rules. So if you do need any help with anything, please once again let Gib or myself know.
Yes, and for the love course, it's around €160. So we finished the stage of all the countries. So I will stop sharing my screen. And now you can, if you have a question, you can feel free to ask.
I had a question in regards to legalizing the documents. Is it only the bachelor degree that we're doing, or because I've heard from other people that we might also have to do our criminal background check and official transcripts and a bunch of other stuff, but are we only going to legalize our bachelor's degree and that's it?
Yes, it's only bachelor degree that we will need it for the work permits, and the teacher council would like to see that, also the immigration. So if you have a master degree, you can have that, but don't legalize that. We accept only bachelor degree for the document that we need for the work permit and the working visa process. Also for the criminal background check, you don't need to legalize that. It come from the reliable source, like the state level check, and it has expiry date for the certain time, like 3 months or 6 months, depend on the country. So if it already expired, you have to redo that, but don't legalize that. Also, the legalized degree, it doesn't have the expiry date. So if you have it once, you don't have to redo it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And just kind of piggybacking off of that, I saw that it said if I have to go through the Los Angeles Thai consulate for the fifth step, which I believe is getting the Thai embassy stamp, it says that I have to also notarize a copy of my passport page. So that's where I was kind of confused as well. I'm not sure if I have to also do the same thing for my passport page, just because of that statement.
Okay, we haven't had that happen before, but of course everything changes, especially now that COVID is opening things up more often. So we can talk offline about the request to notarize your passport, but it's not a usual thing. Please not anybody else go notarizing your passport, but if they are a specific case requesting you to do it, we can talk offline and see what this request is and if they really do need you to notarize your passport page.
Okay, yeah, it was just it was in that final briefing document, and it said specifically only for people who have to go through the Los Angeles Thai consulate or the New York consulate. So I just got a little bit thrown off by that because I was like, do I also have to do everything for my passport page?
I believe it would just be the notary if it is through the LA office. It is quite a normal thing if you're going through LA or New York in particular, and it's just the notary that they will require if that is the case.
Okay, perfect. I was like, I don't want to have to go through all that twice, but just also regard to that, I'm sorry for all the questions. So if I do pay for the expedited service, will they just take care of everything, including that passport thing for me?
I will double check for you. Just one moment, if they can include that. Just double check with the services yourself to see if they'll include that service. Just because it's a national service, it caters to every single state. They may not cover the passport requirement because it's only LA and New York that need that extra part. But just double check with them and see if they include it, but they might not.
Okay, sounds good. I just wanted to also go over the background check because it's weird here in LA too. I've been trying to figure it out, and I'm like, I went to my local police station. They said they don't do it. They gave me a number. So I called that number, and then they told me that everything's basically through mail, and I'm not used to mailing stuff around. So I'm just kind of confused in regards to the background check because I asked for the state level background check, but they sent me to a form that says it's only for personal use and not for visas and work permits, which I'm assuming that's what we need the background check for, correct? For the work permit. So I'm just confused all around in terms of how to go about the background check as well. And I know that takes a while. So do you have any tips, recommendations, or anything that you might know about that?
Absolutely. So you're right. LA office does not let you use it for visa or work permit clauses unless they attach another letter. So it can be quite difficult. I do recommend for LA and New York, once again, to do your state level background check through the federal level check. So the FBI service is a lot easier for people from LA and New York. And they don't put that clause on it. You're able to use it for visa purposes and work permit purposes. So I would recommend not doing the state level check for that part.
Okay, I was just concerned in regards to time because in the final briefing document, it did say to do the state level because the FBI can take a lot longer. So I
Yeah,
do think I'll have issues with that.
it doesn't take as long as a legalized degree. It does take a little bit longer than a state level check. But as you are coming over in May 2nd, you still have plenty of time, I'd say, for the FBI check. As long as you get on it as soon as possible, I think you'll be fine unless something dramatically goes wrong. We don't usually have problems with people with the FBI check, even if they are 1 or 2 weeks late to apply. But I get on it as soon as possible.
Okay, sounds good. And last question, I'm so sorry. So
Yeah,
I
no
did
problem.
find because I did find that I had to go and um basically get this form for the state check or whatever check I have to do. And then I also have to go and find someone to do my fingerprints for me. Does that sound familiar at all, or am I
Yeah.
making that up? Okay, so I did find someone to do my fingerprints, and they offer the personal record review only, and then for a little bit higher of a fee, they do the DOJ agency fee for visa, immigration, employment, and licenses. Will that be okay, or should I just go straight for the FBI?
Just because we have had a lot of LA checks in the past come back saying you can't use it for a visa purpose, I would personally go straight for the FBI check. I haven't heard of the second process that you mentioned, but I'll have a look for you and I'll get back to you in your personal email about the the decision on that one. But straight off the bat, I would say to go straight for the federal level check.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, if we can get contact, or if I can get contacted through my personal email, that'd be perfect. I can
Yeah.
send you what I mentioned, so hopefully maybe you can see if that looks familiar. Because yeah,
Yes.
I'm still like super confused about the whole thing. So yeah, it'll be better if we can just talk personally. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Send whatever you need to via the email and we'll check it for you and see if it can be used and if it's the easiest direction for you.
Okay, and is the best email the support one, or what would be the
Whichever one that you have from us already, you can reply to the program's email or either myself, Gib, or Cassidy if you've been speaking with Cassidy. Whichever one works for you best at the moment.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, thank you so much for all your time.
No, you're welcome. Do you have any other questions, seeing as you're one of the only people here live?
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, perfect. I thought I was like holding other people up.
Not
So I
at
felt
all.
really bad. But I guess I don't really have, I'm just I guess overwhelmed by everything because I've never done anything like this. And I just feel
Yeah.
like with the COVID stuff, like everything's by mail all of a sudden. So that's the hardest
Mm.
part to figure out for me. In terms of this kind of stuff. But with the state background check, so the only form that they guided me over to, it was like a BCIA 8705 form. So it's like for the FBI check, would I just have to go all over again and look for a new form? If that makes
We will give you the information for the FBI check, so don't stress too much with the criminal background check. As soon as we jump offline, we'll send you everything you need to support you
okay.
best for LA. I know they make it difficult there.
Yeah, it's so weird. I didn't think it was gonna be this hard to get a background check. So
Yeah.
yeah, but in terms of the legalization stuff, I'm probably gonna just choose for someone to do it for me because it's
Yeah.
way too much, way too much mailing. So yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
cool. I guess just follow back also about with the whole expedited legalizing thing. If if I would have to pay an extra fee for the passport page, or would it just be the um my bachelor's degree? That's kind of the only thing I would need clarification on besides the background check.
As I understand, I believe you do need to pay per document, per notary. So it would be an extra fee, but as it is the first step, it shouldn't be too much because
Okay.
it's just a local solicitor's notarization. So I hope it won't be too much, but it shouldn't be.
Okay, perfect. So it would be like less than 125 for the extra passport, right?
I hope so. I can't guarantee, but shop around because there should be plenty of solicitors in your local area, and you should be able to get, uh, I would say, cheaper than that price for sure.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for that. That's all for now.
You're welcome.
Thank
Do you have
you.
any questions about arriving to Thailand or life in Thailand or your school or anything at all? Just because it will be recorded, so any questions that you have might be really helpful for other people who watch the recording as well.
Yeah, sure. I have a lot of questions. These were just my most pending ones, but
Yeah.
basically, when I arrived to Thailand, just specifically, I guess I was just wondering what that would look like. I know we don't have a concrete answer in terms of like quarantine,
Yep.
but um, I just wanted some clarification on what's included and what I should take care of myself. From my understanding, some transportation is included, but some isn't, right?
For sure. I can talk you through the process of when you get off the plane. Um, so, when you arrive, if we're going with the laws that are here at the moment, then you still need to complete 1 night quarantine in Bangkok. We're slowly getting on to some hotels that are no longer hospitals. So, we'll try and aim to have everybody as close together as possible for the 1 night, and we'll be sending out information on where we suggest with your visa documents to book for your 1 night quarantine. Going off the laws now as well, you do need to take an ATK test 5 days later and record it on an app that they ask you to download, which will send it with the arrival information with the visa green light as well. And then after you're released and you have your test results, we will pick you up from Bangkok. We will either pick you up from a hotel or from a location that we can get everybody together. And then your included transport down to Hua Hin is all taken care of. And then we'll have each person from all 4 courses doing the course together. So the placement only people, the TESOL extra people, the TESOL in class people, and the camp counselors will all be together for the first orientation week. And then because placement only and camp counselors might have other engagements or placement only need to go to their school, then they will depart for their school after the first week. And that one will be at their own cost, but the placement team will give them plenty of choices. So when you're here in Hua Hin, if you're placement only, TESOL extra or TESOL in class, and the placement team will talk about your school and where it's located and some suggestions on where you'll live when you go out there and how to get there via public transport, or if you would like something more comfortable by yourself. They'll give you all those choices and you'll be able to choose which method you would like to head to your school with. And also, if there's anybody else headed in the same direction, you can also split the cost with them as well. But it really shouldn't be too much. Domestic transport in Thailand is super cheap, especially if you are doing like public versions. And it's very quick and easy to get anywhere in the country, even via the public transport. You've got very comfortable overnight trains, you've got overnight buses, you can fly, you can take private vans or private cars. And then I guess the only other cost that you would be completing yourself is if you need to do visa extensions and pay for your work permit, put deposits down on your living, your everyday life. Yeah, but your entire course while you're here in Hoi Hin is already included in your fees. Your instructors are included. Your accommodation is included. Only some companies, some agencies charge rent fee. And then you have 2 meals included. We have a welcome meal and also your cooking class that you get to eat both of your masterpieces in the cooking class as well. So there's lots of inclusions, and there are just like everyday living costs after you've finished your course with us as well. Does that help at all?
Yeah, that did. That helped a lot. So basically that first week are we gonna take care of finding our home, or would that be done ahead of time?
So it depends what course you're on. If you're in the placement only and you only have 1 week with us in Hua Hin, then you will be prioritized, of course, because you're out of here first with the placement team, and they'll help you find your living arrangements probably in that week, most definitely. And then if you're here for longer, if you're here for 2 weeks with TESOL Extra or 4 weeks with the in-class, the placement team will be there to help you as soon as possible after they've finished with the guys who are out of here as soon as possible to help you with your living options. They usually give you about 2 or 3 places that you might like that are close to your school and within your budget, and they might ask you other things that you like if you wanted somewhere where you could put like a little stove or something like that, or if you wanted super cheap or in the middle, they'll give you some choices that you can aim to see when you go there, but no one will sign a living contract until they see it in person. Things can look very different in a picture than when they see it in person. So you'll get to see it when you go to your school before you're locked into anything.
Sounds good. And is there an estimation time of when exactly we'll start teaching?
Yes, good question. So usually teachers start teaching within about 2 to 3 days of arriving at their school. It will be the beginning of the term for everybody. So some schools might have a staff week that they want you to attend if the school hasn't gone back yet. Some schools will be jumping straight into the beginning of term introduction. So it does depend on your school, but it should be fairly soon after you arrive.
Okay, thank you for that. And in terms of, you mentioned we were checking everything out in person. Will we be doing that by ourselves, or will we have like one of the staff coming with us to find a place?
For sure, another great question. So if your school is located quite far away from Hua Hin, we will set you up with staff in that location to look after you. So you might have a direct member of staff through the school or another agency that's taking care of you, and they will absolutely go with you to help you out, translate anything you need to, introduce you to the school, show you around, show you curriculum documents, also help you find any kind of living supplies if you needed to find bed sheets or cooking utensils, stuff like that. So no matter where you go in the country, it might not be directly Explorasia staff that go with you, but there'll be someone there to take care of you and make sure you get set up properly.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I think those are all the questions I can think of as of right now. But thank you so much for the webinar. It was very, very helpful.
No problem. I just wanted to throw in one last question that we got in the last group on this webinar. Somebody asked if they have to legalize their degree because it is quite an annoying process and it can be a little bit pricey as well. The answer to that question is you absolutely do have to legalize the degree for it to be recognized that you have a degree in Thailand. If you didn't want to legalize your degree, and you have a degree, you kind of denounce that you have a degree and you might be placed as a non-degree holder, which of course is doable, but it may lessen some options for you in the big cities potentially. So if you do have a degree, please legalize your degree. It will help you with your employment. And if you don't have a degree, it is no problem at all. But just remember, camp counselors, you don't need to legalize your degree. And people who don't have a degree, you don't need to legalize your highest education certificate. Well, thank you. Do you have any other questions before I let you go today?
Nope, that's it for me. Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us. And for anybody watching, if you do have any questions based on anything that was said, please don't hesitate to contact a member of our team anytime. And we'll be having the next webinar on visa and arrival details after we send you your visa document, which should be towards the end of March, end of the month. So thanks again, and we will talk to everybody soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.